Welcome to Lost Girl Therapy. Today we are talking about what it means to ask for energetic and verbal consent before you do healing. So, the concept of energetic consent and verbal consent is imperative when it comes to working with an energetic or intuitive healer or a Reiki practitioner. And I'm going to tell you this story because when energetic or verbal consent gets violated, you basically end up in the space of energetic manipulation, which is not healthy for the client receiving the energy, nor the practitioner who's now just crossed a boundary. So maybe, I think it was last summer, I was minding my own business and I was sitting on a lounge chair, and all of a sudden I started receiving Reiki. Now, I've been a Reiki practitioner for 5 years, so I know when I'm receiving it. But I've also never been in the position where I have received Reiki that I have not consented to. And when you get trained in Reiki and energy work, you basically learn how to practice on yourself first. And you go through X amount of months of just learning how to use your gifts on yourself. And that's because you need to become really familiar with how your gifts work on you before you share them with somebody else. Because if you do not have awareness of your gifts and how they impact you, that is not a good space for you to go and work on somebody else, because you don't know how somebody's going to be impacted. And with Reiki in particular, you are sending energy. So when I got trained as a Reiki practitioner, the first thing that we did was we learned the importance of verbal and energetic consent. When you practice Reiki and when I practice energy work, you're going to hear me say the words, do you want to A, hear this energy stuff? Or is it okay? Do you want to receive Reiki now? Yes or no? And after you receive a verbal response, I then tap into the energy side of things, and I basically ask if that person's energy also agrees. And if one or both of these are a no, it is like hands off. Like absolutely not. There will be no practicing energy, no sending of Reiki in that space, no matter what. But sometimes practitioners get a little ahead of themselves and they get like a little cocky. And they ignore the energetic or the verbal answers and they just go ahead. And the reason that this is a really dicey and not healthy space is because once somebody has crossed your energetic boundary, they have free reign over your energy. And as the person who has had this happen to them, it is incredibly disarming. It is also very confusing and highly uncomfortable and kind of alarming. So last summer, going back to this story, I literally was on a lounge chair minding my own business and I started receiving Reiki. And when I receive Reiki, it makes me very sleepy. I basically am just ooh, okay, I kind of feel like I'm floating and I just want to chill out. But because the person who sent it did not ask for consent, they have absolutely no idea if I am in a safe and comfortable space to receive that. If I had been driving a car, if I had been doing something manual, I literally would have probably just felt like something was wrong. And it would not have been a safe space for me to be operating in. So the fact that they took the risk and sent Reiki when they didn't even know if I was willing or able to accept it is the first problem here. But the second problem is that because I knew exactly who sent it, when I asked them, they seemed really excited about it because they weren't caring about who they sent it to. They just wanted to know if they could. And notice how I said that. They didn't care about the client, they cared about themselves. And when a practitioner ends up in that really selfish space of saying I just want to prove my gifts, I just want to demonstrate this, we have already broken the bonds of a healthy healing relationship. Practitioners are not meant to be in healing sessions just demonstrating what they can do. They're meant to be in healing sessions to help people heal. So when you have somebody who basically says yeah, I really have little regard for you, and I actually just care about me testing my own abilities, that is a big problem. That means that they are not aligned with helping their client's highest self. They are more geared towards just energizing their own stuff. And when you're a healer, you actually never need to test your skills on someone else if you truly believe in yourself. There is never a reason for you to need to bring somebody else into the equation if you trust yourself enough that your gifts are going to show up the way that they're meant to. And that's why when you get trained in Reiki, when you get trained in energy work, you practice on yourself. You get to such a level of confidence and understanding that you never need to go outside of yourself if you choose not to. But on this particular occasion, what was so alarming was that when we cross our own boundaries, when we ignore our training, when we stop asking for energetic consent, we are basically shunning our own gifts, and we are opening ourselves up to the potential of doing everything carelessly. And that's how people can get emotionally, energetically, or physically hurt. And the reason that I'm sharing this story is because if you are working with an intuitive healer, if you are working with somebody who practices energy, they should be asking verbal and energetic consent. That's it. If your practitioner is not asking verbal consent, if they are not asking energetic consent, I would very much reconsider working with them. A true Reiki practitioner, somebody who is really truly practicing intuitive healing, is always going to ask if it's okay. If you work with me at Lost Girl, you are going to hear me say it over and over. Is it okay that I share this with you? Is it okay that I tap into this? Is it okay if? And that's the important part. When you're engaging in an intuitive healing relationship or an energetic relationship or a Reiki relationship, you are opening yourself up to vulnerability. And you have to trust that the person who you are working with also understands and honors and respects your vulnerability and does not take advantage of it. If you guys have any questions about this, or if you want more clarity on what it looks like to have verbal and energetic consent, let me know. I just wanted to share this story because I think that there's a ton of potential for people to work with practitioners who are not operating at that highest capacity. And it's really important that you feel like you can trust and respect and feel safe with practitioners that you choose to engage with.